Hello everyone, my name's Michael and welcome back to the channel. So this is the gaming test of the Honor Magic 3 Pro Plus. Today we're going to be testing the performance using some of the most graphically intensive games out there on their ultra settings. Shadow Fighter 3, PUBG Mobile, Real Racing 3 and Genshin Impact, all of which are either very graphically heavy, have high frame rates or just a very intense gaming engine. I'm going to play all the games in order of what I think will have the least effect on the phone's performance, all the way to the greatest impact, and really push the hardware to its limits, and these are my predictions. This phone is absolutely packed with the latest high-end specs, including a SnapDragon 888 Plus and a 120Hz refresh rate, so my expectations are high. We're going to set the phone to max brightness and turn off the auto brightness feature so we can maintain the same level of brightness all the way through and check for screen dimming. Also, the resolution is set to medium out of the box, so we're going to whack that all the way up, and it's the same story for the refresh rate. It's currently set to dynamic, so obviously this is to save battery, but we're going to crank it up to 120Hz flat out. So all the apps are going to be closed now as we head into the first game, which is Shadow Fighter 3. This is a Mortal Kombat-like fighting game with beautiful visuals, but it's also an RPG at the same time, where your playable character has customizable visuals and weapons that you can unlock, etc, etc. Let's set the game on Ultra, which is 1440p at 60 frames a second. So in this game, you get to use weapons instead of just punching each other. I'm the one on the left getting my ass kicked. So straight away, the picture you get on the Pro Plus looks razor sharp. This screen has a pixel density of 456 ppi and is Quad HD, matching the maximum resolution for the settings for this game. And I must say, all of the movements look extremely fluid and the graphics themselves look fantastic. If we fast forward 10 minutes, you can see I've much improved my fighting skills, and there has not been a single bit of lag or a dropped frame to my eye. Also, this particular bamboo forest backdrop looks awesome with the 3D lighting bursting through the tree line, as well as the shadows and textures. So at the end of this 15-minute run, with the max brightness and ultra screen settings, the battery saw an 8% drop, the temperature got up to 38 degrees and barely felt noticeable, the RAM consumed for this game a max of 1GB, and there was 0 glitches. So next up is Real Racing 3. There aren't any internal settings to change in this game, but we're going to dive in anyway, as this is a famously heavy-duty game. One thing I should say is that I have the speaker volume turned all the way up when playing all of these games. The Magic 3 Pro Plus comes with dual stereo speakers, which actually sound really good. So fast forward 10 minutes later, the phone does feel quite a bit hotter than when playing Shadow Fighter 3, although I have not seen any downgrade in performance. I also turned off all the driving assists after a few races, so I actually have to try and drive this car in full manual mode, which was going pretty well. I was actually quite impressed with myself until it didn't go so well. Overall though, performance here again has been excellent, with the only noticeable difference being that I felt a notable temperature increase towards the end of the gaming session. So after 15 minutes, Real Racing 3 saw a battery drop of again 8%, but this time the temperature was higher, ending on 43.1 degrees, which is still a very respectable level, but more noticeable than on the previous game. The max RAM consumption was 0.96GB, and there were no glitches or dropped frames. I should also mention that between games I am letting the phone cool back down to room temperature. So now PUBG, which was second on my list to what I thought would be the most performance consuming of our gaming lineup. And while it loads, I'll quickly mention Honor's inbuilt gaming mode. Lots of options here. You can activate the game accelerator option, which directs all of the phone's resources towards the game you're playing, as well as a toggle to block all incoming notifications. There is mistouch prevention mode and network optimization, which is really handy when playing online games, which we are about to do. So all of this working together should give you a much better gaming experience, and today I've literally had everything turned on, and so far nothing to complain about. So on PUBG Mobile, there are loads of settings to play around with. The graphics have a UHD option that isn't available yet, but we're going to stick it on the highest currently available, which is Ultra HD. Frame rate is also set to maximum, although it does warn of decreased battery life and dropped frame rates if combined with the highest resolution, but we don't give a damn about that. All of the other settings we will turn on or up to the max, and let's go. Now obviously, first things first, we need to do the classic camera pan around the plane to really test the smoothness. Remember, we went for the ultra high graphics combined with the ultra high frame rates. So far, everything's looking good. Let's jump. Now, I am expecting this game to have an effect on the phone's temperature. So far, the thermals have been great. So this year's main flagship chip on Android phones has been the SnapDragon 888, and it has had some real problems with overheating and lag on a lot of the top devices. So it's interesting to see that thus far the new Snapdragon 888 Plus doesn't seem to be having any problems. One thing I'd like to point out is that even though the phone is quite heavy at 236 grams, it's very comfortable to hold and feels good in the hand. The only negative is that because the camera unit on the back is so fantastically massive, your fingers have no choice but to rest on it no matter where you put them, which kind of smudges up the lenses, so a wipe down will probably be required after each session. As the game went on, I got some more kills. I was then abandoned by my teammate, ran some people over, and then would you look at that, winner winner chicken dinner, with all the gameplay still being fluid and smooth. So this game actually took around 27 minutes to complete, but I did record the stats on the 15-minute mark, and they are as follows. And this quite surprised me actually. We saw only a 5% battery loss during the initial 15-minute opening. The thermal results also surprised me, coming in at 40 degrees, 3 less than Real Racing 3. The maximum RAM was 1.1 gigabytes, and there was no lag or dropped frames to my eyes. I might as well tell you what it was like after 27 minutes too. After 27 minutes, the total battery drop from when we started the game to that 27-minute mark came to 10%, which is rather respectable considering the phone and game settings I had turned on, and naturally the temperature did rise up a little to 41.7, which is still lower than Real Racing 3, and again, to my eye, there were no dropped frame rates or glitches. So then we move on to the final game, which is Genshin Impact, which I was absolutely certain would cause at least some problems considering the incredibly detailed graphical elements this game has. In this game, you are also able to cross-save your progress with the PC version, so you can continue playing across many devices, which is pretty cool. So in the game settings, it actually gives you a little indicator of how your phone will cope depending on the settings you choose, and so far we're on smooth, and there are lots of options to choose from. So we're just going to go ahead and see what happens if we set the graphics quality to high, and it does go straight into the red and warns of overheating and serious lag. So I went ahead and put everything on the highest settings, and doing so put the red bar right to the max. So I expect lagging and overheating according to this angry red bar. The game does look beautiful, it really does, and doing a dramatic camera pan with these settings causes no problems. It is buttery smooth and feels fantastic, but this is only the opening moment, so let's see. So I'm obviously just going to go ahead and fight some people immediately. So everything looked great in the fight scene, so fluid and smooth, but there was a slight lag when the box was opened, perhaps because there was a sudden extra concentration of graphics for the phone to process. What do you think? Am I being picky? So as I continued on and ran to the next point of action, everything was again back to super smooth. The way my character's cape flowed in the wind and peacefully ran along into the detailed layered scenery was truly enjoyable. But then, finally, after all this time, there was a bit of lag on screen, and this time it was not up for debate. But honestly, after that moment, for the next 15 minutes, everything went very well, from shooting demon-headed people, to swimming in the river, to climbing up a castle, to trying to assassinate this guy who I didn't like, and then the game not letting me, leading to massive disappointment. The Pro Plus held up well. There was the occasional hiccup here and there, but it wasn't dropping frames and lagging every 5 seconds. I did notice it ran a little hotter in the last few minutes, which leads us to the results. Whilst playing Genshin Impact, there was a surprise 8% drop in battery, the max temperature recorded was 42.1, and the max RAM usage was 2.2 gigabytes, and there were 2 or 3 notable moments of lag. And I would say that's pretty good, and along with fantastic sound from those dual speakers, an excellent screen and top-end performance, I would happily recommend this phone to game on, and I will be making a specific video about the camera on this phone, so stay tuned for that. And if you watched all the way till the end, then cheers, a thumbs up and a sub to the channel would really be appreciated, and if you could leave a comment, that would help the video be pushed in the YouTube algorithms. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one.